For wrist throw, what we're going to do as just the basic initiating technique is come out and grab. If I have my right hand over here, I'm going to grab his left hand, and I'm going to put my thumb right in between these first two knuckles and my other fingers around the wrist. And then from here, the footwork is to step in between his feet. As I do that, this hand comes up like this, and then I do one of the hand positions that we have. There's 3 of them. One is to just do both thumbs in between the knuckles. The other is to do a flat palm. And the third is to do a forearm like this. All kind of do the same thing in the end, but maybe just a little bit of tweaks on how you position the elbow and how you push the person down. From there, after the grab, step in. I'm going to put my hand on here. This is my favorite, putting the palm on the back of the hand. The next part is I'm going to focus on driving his elbow back and hopefully pushing his shoulder down. And then from here, I'm going to rotate his hand around and then also take a circular step away. So I push in, try to get him kind of leaned in like this, circular step away, and rotate his fingers to the ground like that. Okay. So here I reach out, grab his hand, put my hand on the back of it, step in like this, do a circle step. As I do the circle step, I'm rotating his fingers downward. So 1, 2, in, rotate. Okay. Once he's on the ground, one of the good finishes to do is to just put my shin on his ribs and on his face, and then drive his elbow into my thigh or into my stomach, depending on whatever feels most comfortable for you. Grab both hands with the thumbs in the wrist, and then bend his wrist back into a gooseneck like that. Another possible finish here, if they roll over a little bit, is to follow them over and then come back here onto their stomach. Okay, let's do that again. So I do the wrist throw, push him down, he starts to roll over. I step over his head, then I'm going to take his hand, point the fingers up, rotate it, and pull him onto his back. Shin here, secure his hand, and then push his elbow straight and force his shoulder into the floor. Okay, next from a fighting stance, his hands are up, he's being aggressive towards me. No blows have been thrown yet, but I feel like the fight is going to happen. One thing that I can do is just attack this front hand here. Whenever I do anything when he's in a fighting stance, I got to worry about this second hand. So as soon as I grab, I may strike him. I may, watch for that hand and block that. And then from here, I'm going to do the same technique. So his hands come up, I grab, strike. This can be a combination of a strike and a block, because as I'm striking in, if he starts to punch, I can switch my direction from his face to his shoulder, or I can still hit him, but my elbow's up here, and hopefully we'll be able to make his arm go off in the other direction. So I come up, grab, strike, and then from here I'm going to do the same thing, focus on his hands, and do my steps, and finish. Okay, from a sleeve grab inside, he grabs my sleeve. Again, I need to worry about that other hand possibly coming up. If it is coming up, what I'm going to try to do is get this other hand on the side of my face and then move away from that other hand. And the next thing that I'm going to do is make my hand position, again, put my thumb in between his knuckles and my fingers around his wrist. From here, what I have to do is bring my elbow down and then my forearm up to get behind his hand. And then from here, instead of doing it this way, especially if he still has a hold of my sleeve when I get here, I'm just going to use my forearm instead to do the technique. Just grab the other hand. So from here, watching for that punch, moving, grabbing. here, rotate downwards, same finishes. You can also, from here, come across strike first, then do the technique. Now the person is going to grab my chest. Once again, whenever you get grabbed, always be focused on that other hand coming through to attack. One of the things that we do is called a frame. So instead of trying to back away, I'm going to move into him and try to jam him up. I'm attacking this shoulder and in between his elbow here, just try to stop his punch before it gets a whole lot of power. Then from here, I can keep this hand here. I can do strikes and elbows and things like that. I'm going to take this wrist here and pull it to my body like this. Next, I'm going to lean in, still worrying about this hand here. I'm going to lean in and then rotate my body. Instead of using my hand against the back of his hand, I'm going to use my body to push him in and then to rotate. Okay, there's a couple things that you can do with the other hand. Grab here. Okay, if he attacks, whether he attacks or not, I can keep this here and keep that arm at bay. I can also do a pressure point on the pec muscle here. I can, grab his neck, do a tiger mouth strike or whatever. So anything that you can do with this other hand, but mostly just be aware that that punch may be coming. So from here, put this here, but don't forget about this. This is the most important part, to focus on the wrist. Don't focus too much on this pressure point or you won't get him down. So from here, at first just practice without using this hand at all. Use your body and rotate him to the ground. Then throw that hand in later in conjunction. Here, if he still has a hold of your clothing, get up close to him, put a shin in his ribs, then put both hands on his wrist and straighten your body out to break that grip. Then go into the finish. Sometimes people can roll out of it and get to their feet. Just disengage and be ready to fight again instead of trying to keep a hold of something that you'll never get.